Hey everybody, VP with Metaverse News 1 here, and a very important video today for any fans of the game Illuvium, or especially investors of the game Illuvium. If you're investing right now or someday you might want to, pay very close attention to today's video, and I really want your feedback down below. Because what I'm about to talk about today is not going to be without controversy, but in my opinion, it is a make or break turning point for the entire project. So what we are doing today is we are talking about 5 changes. One is absolutely critical. Now, I think all 5 are very important, but the last one we're going to talk about is that major turning point that I just spoke about earlier. So please stick around for all 5. But what we're talking about almost entirely pertains to Overworld. Illuvium's Overworld is more or less going to be kind of the center hub, I guess, for everything else that comes after it. You know, Illuvium 0 is its own thing, but you're making fuel for the game, the Overworld game. You're making skins for Overworld. And then PvP is going to be its own thing, but you collect all of your Illuvials that you assemble for your team in the Overworld. So what you do in the Overworld and how this is crafted is, to me, more important than any other piece of the ecosystem itself. So that's why we are focusing on that today. Now, quick disclaimer, even though I'm being critical, understand, I absolutely love this project. I'm heavily invested in this project, as are many of you. I have put, at this point, over 7 ETH into this project. Now, it's the only non-Cardano project that I'm invested in. I love Cardano. The really great thing about the games over there on that chain is, like, for 1 ETH, you can become a king in a lot of these games. So why am I spending 7 times that on something like this? Well, it's because I believe in the team, I believe in the community, I've gotten to know them, and I've been absolutely blown away at every turn. And how can you not love the game? How can you not love every leak that comes out? It is stunning. The mechanics are near flawless already. It takes aspects of wildly successful Web 2 projects and combines them all into one. So I own land, I own the token, I own Illuvatars, I'm in. But as we know, the more you get invested into something and the more you care about it, the more you want to see it succeed, and the more vocal you are likely to be when you see things that can be improved. So anybody who's watching this, whether you're a founder or a content creator or just a casual fan, please understand that any criticism you are about to see in this video has a lot of love and good intentions behind it. Because with love comes passion, and we're all passionate about this. We all want to see everybody succeed, and let's be honest, at the end of the day, we all want to see number go up because that benefits us too. But if certain things don't go right, this will not happen. None of this will happen. So let me now take this time to express my 2 major concerns. The first one, and this is the least, well, I don't know, because this could derail everything too, but in terms of what this video is about, this is the least concerning of the 2, and that's going to be runway. And this is a concern with every game out there. Does the project have enough money to see it through to the beginning? And are the economics and tokenomics as such to where it can sustain itself even if it starts off slow? Because many of us have already taken part in certain projects, or at least we've seen other people take part in certain projects that have collapsed because they just simply ran out of money. Great game developers and great project creators are not always the best business people, and even if they are, we are stepping into completely uncharted territory here. We have very little precedent. We have very little blueprint on how to do things in this new Web3 environment. These early pioneers are going to have to take the hits that future settlers are not going to. There's that old saying, pioneers get slaughtered, settlers prosper. That's going to happen in any industry, including this one. Now, I think we've been told that the runway is currently to like January 2024. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to give misinformation here. But okay, if that's the case, great. However, and I do believe what the founders say, but I'll say this. If I was a founder and my actual runway at this point in time, late June 2023, was more like August or September 2023, I would not want to give that information out, because that's going to cause panic, that's going to cause dumping, and that's just going to make my situation worse. So again, even though I believe what I am told from the founders. Let's get that part out of the way. I know in the back of my mind, and I think a lot of people have this concern in the back of their mind, because they've seen projects that have seemed, to be in great condition, all of a sudden get wiped out in a matter of days because they ran out of money and their actual runway probably really wasn't what it was made out to be. Let's just say that. So that's just a blanket concern with any game. It's not Illuvium specific. But they did just have a promotional Illuvitar launch that didn't do as well as they thought it was going to do. What's that going to do to the runway? These are just concerns we all have in the back of our mind. But at the end of the day, we put our faith in the founders and the team to see it through. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention runway, because low-key, this is a concern on almost everybody's mind with every single new project out there, especially in Web3. But the main concern that this entire video is centered around is this one concern right here, and this is also everybody's concern. So like I said, this is not Illuvium specific, this is with anything, but when the game does come out, let's say the runway's fine, and the game launches as it's expected to do, is it going to take? I mean, the game's awesome. In a lot of our minds, there's no reason why it shouldn't take, right? It looks amazing, it plays amazing, we have a strong community of YouTubers and TikTokers promoting the game already. Not to mention the inherent advantages Web3 already has to Web 2. The main reason so many people have not made that conversion from Web 2 over to Web 3 is that the Web 3 games just really aren't there yet. But this is not one of those games. This is one of those games that looks to break that mold. And that's why we're so excited about it. But once it comes out, understand, the game is only beginning. Case in point, you had something like Axie Infinity. Now, no, Axie Infinity is not a great looking game, but I love it when we have these pioneers to already take the hits for us. For Web3 gaming, we had Axie Infinity. For open world metaverses, we had Decentraland. Two projects that, in my opinion, have already completely failed. Yet they were so vitally important for any project that comes after it, because it showed us two very important things. Thing number one, if you build it and you give people a chance to make real money online by playing a game, remember before, the only way you could make money gaming is by being so god tier that you were on an esports team, or so charismatic and hardworking that you could be a streamer or a gaming YouTuber, which again, you're talking, a fraction of a percent of all people out there. If you couldn't do either one of those things, then you were doing nothing but shoveling money into these games and getting no money out of it. Web3 has changed all that. And Axie Infinity did show, even though it was on a relatively small scale, that if you just make any old game that allows people to do this and start making real, consistent money, they're going to come. Problem was, Axie couldn't handle the popularity, and they made a lot of mistakes after the game was already released. Mistakes that they could have gotten ahead of before the game was released. The token lost a lot of value, and now, the main reason people flocked to this game in the first place, i.e. to make money, was no longer really there. I mean, it was still there, but it was a fraction of what it was before, and most people lost interest. Now, could you imagine a game like Illuvium that has put so much money and resources and time and passion and love into this project, and then it finally releases to a bunch of fanfare, but this right here got messed up somehow? Now, thankfully, the ILV token is not an in-game token. Another reason why I really, really like the prospects of this game, because that is a whole layer of liability that a lot of games are going to have that Illuvium is not going to have. This is exactly what crashed Axie. However, there is one aspect to this game that I think, if not done right, or if not changed, because in its current state, I think it falls under this category right here. If it is not changed or improved by the time the main game comes out, it has the potential to sink the entire project. Do I have your attention yet? All right, well, let's get into these changes. Thank you for staying with me up to this point, but I think it's really important that I set this up the way I do. All right, so necessary changes. We're going to go in probably least important all the way up to most important, and number one, like I said, is going to be the key focus of the rest of this entire video. But we're going to do 5, and number 5 is, you want this game to be family friendly, right? There's an aspect of this game that I don't think most people catch, or that most people, I guess, hear a certain way, but I hear it a certain way, and I can't be the only one.
Face piss!
That's right. Am I the only one hearing it this way? I don't even know what she's supposed to say right there. But can we just make Arlen not say this? Seems like a pretty easy fix. If we really are trying to be family friendly, I don't want, a bunch of R. Kelly memes to pop up here. Even if I'm hearing this completely wrong, and I'm almost positive that I am, let's just eliminate that and just do it now. Number 4, you should be able to teleport anywhere. This is, again, it's kind of minor and petty, but if I'm right up against a rock that I'm mining, for some reason I can't teleport back to anywhere. But if I take 2 steps to my right, all of a sudden I can. It's pointless. It doesn't add anything to the game. It doesn't serve anybody. Just let us teleport anywhere at any time. Honestly, this one should have been number 5, probably, as far as importance. But just a petty gripe on my end. Now they start getting a bit more important. Number 3, wearables should factor in a lot more. And by this I mean the visor, the boots, the jetpack. And I want to say this too. A lot of these things that I'm talking about could very well already be on the list of things that the game is trying to improve. I am not as keyed in with this as some of you are. So also let me know down below if this is something they are already planning to improve. But, I haven't played a ton of Overworld. I've played a decent amount. The problem is the beta came out the same week as Zero did, and you guys already know I play a lot more Zero. But I was able to pretty much get to every area I wanted to get to. I was never restricted by distance or height or anything like that. Now, it would have been easier to get to some of these places if I had better wearables, if I had better gear, but it didn't prohibit me. So I was really never motivated to spend any of my resources on upgrading my gear. I upgraded Mozart, my drone, but that's different. I think if there were certain areas that I could only access by having the best jetpack or the best boots, and maybe there was some better stuff, typically, at least percentage-wise, in those areas, then I would be a lot more compelled to spend more time and more fuel. Remember, this is a play-to-earn game that we are invested in, and the more people spending money on fuel, the better. I would be much more compelled to do those things if it really meant something, if it gave me access to things that I couldn't access normally. And maybe that's in Overworld right now, but I just didn't personally see it, so please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong down below. And number 3 kind of crosses into number 2, and I've said this in a video before. I've done another video months ago talking about changes that I think need to be made in Overworld. And there has been no progress here, and that is number 2, dying should cost you something. You shouldn't just be able to die all the time. If there's one major piece of criticism that has come from the community on Overworld, it is that Overworld is too boring. Now, in Illuvium's defense, I will say that this style of game is not supposed to be, how do I say it? It's kind of supposed to be this way. Right? The challenge does not come from the possibility of dying, but from what you're able to catch and mine and find and stuff like that. Okay, fair enough. But you can have your cake and eat it too here. You can make Overworld a lot more exciting, and that is by adding extra layers of risk. I think they've already done a really good job of this with the overload portion of the game, to where after a certain point, after you get under, after your number goes under 1,000, the walls start closing in on you. I think that's a good start. But what I think is one small change that could make the game a lot more exciting is having to calculate, okay, should I make this jump? Because if I die, I am either going to lose fuel or the overload is going to start coming sooner, maybe. There has to be a real penalty for dying, because if there is, this immediately makes the game that much more exciting, that much more compelling, and that much more strategy that needs to go into everything, instead of just mindlessly going into the overworld and collecting things and mining things. And it will also make people more compelled to spend time and money and fuel on gear upgrades. It's like, well, this jump's going to be really hard. I might die. But if I can just upgrade my jetpack, the chances of me dying and getting to where I need to get to are going to go way down. Well, then I'm going to grind to get that jetpack. There has to be a lot more peril in this game. There has to be a lot more consequence for making bad decisions and being bad at the game. Because if there is, It will compel people to become better at the game. How do you become better at something? You play it more often. And how do you play to earn Web3 games more often? By spending more money on it. Do you see how this all kind of ties together? One small change can affect the revenue this game makes significantly. And that is important to us too, because we have a share in that revenue, whether it's through the token or land or through how much we will be able to sell things like skins and alluvials for, the overall price of those things, how valuable they are. In my opinion, and I'm not a dev, I feel like I'm just stating the obvious here, making slight improvements that I don't even think take a lot of manpower to do, especially in these early stages of development, can have a multiplier effect to the upside, and if not done, can have a disastrous effect to the downside. If this thing finally releases in its fullest form, and a lot of these big YouTubers who have never played the game before finally start playing it, and the very first thing they say is it's boring, that's a pretty major blow. Now, they may not get it, they may not understand what this game's trying to do, but it's not their job to understand those things. And these YouTubers are indicative of the type of gamer we are trying to get in this industry, and that is Web 2 gamers that are brand new to Web 3. And we don't want those people thinking it's boring either. You know, people have smaller and smaller attention spans these days than they ever have before. Why take unnecessary chances here? If this is the number one complaint with people when it comes to Overworld right now, well, do whatever you can to eliminate those complaints in the future. And improving this right here, I think, is one of the easiest ways to do that without overhauling anything as far as the current game mechanics go. You know, adding in, venomous plants that are trying to eat you, or little things that are trying to come at you and kill you and stuff like that. That's, again, I'm not a dev, but I can just imagine that's a lot of work. To introduce something that new to a game, seems like a lot. Simply making greater penalties for dying, I think would be a lot easier, and I think would be an instant and critical improvement to this game. All right, number one, here it is, everybody. And it's funny, I haven't seen a whole lot of people on YouTube talk about this. Maybe I'm the only one, maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm not the only one, maybe I'm not crazy. But I will absolutely explain my case. And I alluded to this in the last video I made about Overworld as well, but I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to expand on one particular aspect of it that I actually think, if not improved upon, will sink this game. Also tying along with number two, the dying should cost you. Really, everything in this game needs to be a lot more difficult than it already is. And this is going to be an unpopular stance, because there's a lot of people out there who like the fact that they can progress pretty far in something like Illuvium 0 in a pretty short amount of time. People like the fact that if you just grind out for a couple months in Overworld, you can collect every alluvial on the board. That's exciting to them. Well, I'm glad you're excited, but understand that if things remain this way, in my opinion, it will destroy the longevity of the game. Every single thing we do in this game, every single thing we achieve, needs to be much harder to accomplish and needs to take a lot more time to accomplish. And believe me, if you make a great, exciting game with, and this is my biggest thing in this entire video, a real incentive, not just play to earn, because there's going to be a lot of play to earn games out there eventually, but aspects of your game that people will really grind out for, they will put a lot of money into your game and a lot of time, regardless if they can get that reward and achieve that NFT in a matter of 2 months or a matter of 2 years. I know 2 years is an extreme example. Don't hold me to that. Just pretend I didn't say it, but follow me here. My biggest proposal is this one particular example, and that is tier 5 alluvials. They are apparently the hardest things in the game to obtain, but they're still way too easy. If you play enough, you're going to find them in the wild, and you might have a pretty good chance of catching them as well. And sometimes you do catch them in the wild. And if you sit there and play this game every day for a couple months, chances are you're going to get most of them. And if you can't get them by catching them, You can build them by combining the stage 1 alluvials into stage 2 and the stage 2s into stage 3. And once you've done that, where do you go? Where's the excitement now? Let's say you're a PvP player and you take it to the PvP arena and everybody has a Ramfire and a Titanor and an Adorius. You just took something that could be super rare and super tough to get, and you've made it, at least in the current form of what we see right now, you've made it relatively easy to get. And if they're easy to get, they're not rare. And if they're not rare, they're not worth anything. It's like a Lamborghini. If all you had to do was work really, really hard for a couple months and you could have a Lamborghini, of course you would do it. Lamborghinis are awesome. But at the same time, if now all of a sudden everybody in your town had a Lamborghini, okay, you have an awesome Lamborghini, cool, a lot of fun, but it's no longer worth a whole lot because it's no longer rare. If everybody in your town had the new Jordans, sure, it's a great looking shoe, but 90% of the novelty of even having those things is gone now. And life might be good because you have this fun Lamborghini and these great looking Jordans, but this is Web 3. We're able to buy and sell things. And if everybody has a Lamborghini and everybody has Jordans, then the resale value of those things absolutely plummets. If I'm working really hard to try and catch a Ramfire or to build to a Ramfire for the purpose of taking it to PvP and dominating in the PvP, but once I get to PvP, everybody else also has a Ramfire, do you know how deflating that's going to be? I have to grind just to keep up. I no longer have a competitive advantage over the people I'm playing against because I was able to get this amazing thing. Or let's say I don't even care about PvP and I just want to sell it. I'm going to grind really hard for a few months to get a Ramfire that I'm only going to be able to sell on the open market for like 0.15 ETH. No, not worth it. Now, 0.15 ETH might be a lot of money to some people, but you have the opportunity to make it worth a lot of money to a lot of people. And I think you should try really, really hard to do that. So no problems without solutions. My solutions here are as follows. However hard tier 5s are to catch right now, make them even harder. And maybe make it well known that you have to have the best gear in the game to get to the areas that give you the highest percentage chance of catching a tier 5, stage 3, Illuvial. They did a really good job of this with Illuvitars, making the things that are super rare, super rare. But I don't feel like they've done this in Overworld. Make them very hard to catch out in the wild. And to sweeten the pot, take away the ability for us to build them. When I say tier 5, I mean tier 5, stage 3. Your Ramfires, your Titanors, Dual Fs. Is Dual F tier 5? You get the idea. This is going to take a little bit of a change in the game mechanics. I understand that. I don't think it's a very difficult change. And it's going to be an unpopular change to some people. But for this thing to really take off the way we want it to, you must establish super high rarity in these things. And don't just do it with Ramfire because then everybody's going to be playing Crimson Waste and you don't want that either. Make it with every tier 5, stage 3 Illuvial. Now you might be saying, well, you can also just accomplish this by making it more difficult to catch tier 5, stage 1 Illuvials. So don't take this away, but just make it harder. The problem with that is there's going to be a lot of those tier 5, stage 1 Illuvials on the market. And now all people have to do to build up to a Ramfire is just buy a bunch of Ramfies on the secondary market. They're going to find ways to get there. You have to make it so hard that even those people can't just build up to a tier 5, stage 3 that way. You have to make it like a once or twice or 3 times in a lifetime event. That's how rare I think you have to make it. Because let me show you what happens when you do that. So I think FIFA did this right. And what you're about to see is people opening FIFA card packs and getting an elite tier player. And sometimes they don't even get like a super elite tier player, and they still go bananas. Remember this too. This video I'm about to show you, this only got 44,000 views, but there are very similar videos just like this. I just like this one better. But there's similar ones to this that got over 1 million. And if you type in FIFA card pack reaction into YouTube, you will get a whole lot of these videos. This is elite level advertising that FIFA did not even have to pay for. Free advertising that onboarded God knows how many people on to this paid aspect of FIFA 22. Let's check it out.
Oh my god! Oh my days! Oh my good lord! What the? Read this out, but I can't. I'm not allowed to. Oh my good lord! I've just put Messi in a 7.5 game back. Oh, walkout! Oh my god! Oh my god! I didn't even see it! I didn't even see it!
Einmal einen Clip bitte kurz einmal für mich, damit Amma auch nicht denkt, dass ich ihn verarsche.
Oh, 6 Flammen, 6 Flammen! Nikone! Ja! Ja! Oh nein! Oh! Fickt euch alle! Scheiße! Scheiße! Oh mein Gott! Was? Was? Ah, fuck, Alter! Eurem Scheiß-Pack-Duell! Ihr zieht da nur Schwanz, irgendwelche...
A lot of cursing in German. I wonder if I can put this up.
Oh mein Gott! Oh mein Gott! Nein, nein! Nein! Nein, Kim! Was redest du?
I mean, just look at the joy and excitement on these people's faces from accomplishing something like this.
Yay! Mein Gott! Kassiert! Ika kassiert! Ich hab's gesagt, Baby, nimm mich auch mit! Every day, every night! Let's go! Let's go!
Guy was an 87.
Chi è che non trova niente? Dimmelo adesso! Dimmelo adesso chi è che non trova niente!
Oh mein Gott! Oh mein Gott! Es ist der Tag! Es ist der Tag! Es ist der Tag! Ich hab's euch gesagt! Johann Cruyff! Digga, ich hab's euch gesagt! Komm! Attention, komm! Wesh! Wesh! Cristiano! Cristiano Ronaldo! Wesh! What a wesh, mais il sera intégré! Mais wesh, intégré! C'est vendable! Mais what the...
Okay, you get the idea. But this is literally the single best advertising I could possibly imagine. I mean, just the joy and the euphoria that people like that expressed simply by getting something that was very rare and very hard to obtain. Illuvium, with their Tier 5, Stage 3 Illuvials, could achieve someday this exact same level of euphoria and popularity as we go forward. Imagine a gamer not even being familiar with the Illuvium, seeing something like this, not only wondering how they could achieve the same thing, but the amount of money they could make by being able to resell something like that. So not only are you getting that audience that's doing it for the utility, you're bringing on that whole new audience who would want to do something like this just for the resale value. There are 170 million people in Bangladesh. Now, the average salary there is only about $3,000 USD per year. You don't think they might take an interest in this? You don't think they wouldn't mind grinding Tier 0 and working towards an ability to actually get some real fuel for the game? All right, maybe, a country like that, maybe that's not even the best example. I think it's a good example, but let's take a country like Italy. 60 million people. Average salary about $32,000. You think they would be incentivized to buy a bunch of fuel and play the game and try to capture these top tier Illuvials at any cost? I mean, the goal is to get everybody to want to do this, right? But here's the kicker. Take all of this excitement, all of this buzz, all of this, millions upon millions of views in free advertising. Every year, by the way. So you could do this every time, brand new Tier 5 Stage 3 Illuvials come out. You could just repeat this process over and over again. Imagine all of this that could be ours in Illuvium, and now take it all away. Take a big eraser and just get rid of all of it. Wipe it off the face of the earth. Because nobody is going to get this excited over something that everybody can have access to after a few months of grinding. And in Illuvium Overworld's current form, this is exactly what we have. So understand, if we keep things the way they are, in my opinion, compared to what they could be if we do it right, people will still play. We'll still get that initial rush. There's going to be a buzz. All of those things are probably still going to happen. Maybe less so if we didn't have that super rarity. But they'll still play. And the game will still get a measured degree of popularity. But then what? Once everybody has all the tier 5 Illuvials, then where do you go from there? I know this is a bad example because we can't buy or sell anything yet, but how many of you are still playing Illuvium Overworld beta right now? How much time are you dedicating to it compared to what you were dedicating before? I barely play it because there's no longer anything to build towards. And if I collect all the tier 5 stage 3 Illuvials, but they're not really helping me beat people in PvP because they have them all too, so I'm not making any more money that way, and I can't really sell them for a whole lot, where do you go? We could have a real Axie Infinity-like situation here. Not to where the token crashes, and that's the reason why everybody leaves, but because we just didn't give them a good enough reason to stay. Well, VP, the game's going to be really fun. Oh, of course it is, but there's going to be a lot of really fun games out there. We have a very unique advantage here with the rarity and the ability to sell it if we want, or the ability to use it to make a lot of money in the PvP arena that we must utilize, or else our real competitive advantage, which is pandering to people's sense of greed and accomplishment, or maybe just their ability to keep the lights on and feed themselves by playing video games, is not really going to be there. And if everybody figures this out at once, collectively, and then the negative YouTube videos start coming up saying the same thing, saying, hey guys, it's not worth it. There's no chance for anybody to make real money in this game. See you later. But if we get this right, and in that video I just showed you, I couldn't even find my favorite guy. He's this guy from the UK that freaks out so much when he gets a good card that he'll take his chair and throw it up against his wall and put holes in his wall. This guy's insane. I don't know if he really feels that way or if he's just hamming it up, but it doesn't matter. What we could do if we get this right and have these things be super rare and have something that people will spend infinite amounts of time and money to obtain, you have just created a mania that every single future game producer is going to be scrambling trying to catch up to. This is how you build a 10+ year franchise, like Pokemon did. Over 20 years of Pokemon. And Magic the Gathering, and FIFA. FIFA has other reasons why it's popular, but those cards are extremely popular, and they've been popular for a long time, and they will continue to be popular. But that's how you do it. And believe you me, those games made boatloads of money for their early investors. Early investors like us. If we create this mania, and everybody wants to play our game, the token's going to go to the moon, the rev dis on the token is going to be incredible, every landholder is going to rake. All the Illuvials you catch in the game now are going to be worth a lot more than they would have been before should you opt to resell them. Let's say you get duplicates. And not only do we achieve all this, but we achieve all this for a long time. It's sustainable. It's not just an Axie Infinity flash in the pan to where you better have sold at the top or else you spent all that time and money for nothing. No, this is like legacy type stuff you can pass down to your children if all goes right. But we have to get the rarity right, people, I'm telling you. I know you have Hollow and Dark Hollow Rampfire, but I don't think there's any extra utility there. Correct me if I'm wrong again. The Rampfire itself has to be very, very hard to obtain. The Adorius has to be something that the majority of players will never, ever have a chance to get their hands on. You might sit there and say that that's going to make people less interested in playing the game. I will completely take the other side. That is going to make so many more people more interested in playing the game. You know how much money kids spend on Pokemon cards just to get either the full set or to get the Charizard? I don't know a ton about Pokemon, but I know that much. How much people would spend on baseball cards and throw 98% of them away in the trash just so they could get that big card? That future Hall of Famers rookie card? That super platinum amazing 1 of 10 card that the company just created out of midair? Those are the things that make franchises like this. And I really want to hear what you have to say about it. Comment down below. Tell me if you agree or disagree, and then tell me why. If all of this is already in the works, and I'm up here looking stupid, that's okay. I'm fine with looking stupid. Especially in a case like this. to where if we are already on the path to this right here, I'll even leave this video up, show the whole world what an idiot I am. But if we are currently not heading in this direction, and we are heading in this direction, well, then I hope this video is able to make some impact. Because I, like you, really love this project. For more Illuvium videos, for more Metaverse news videos, subscribe, hit the bell. Give me a thumbs up, whether you agree with me or not. Worked hard on this one. And please comment below and let me know how you feel about it. This video's been long enough. I won't take up any more of your time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you down the road.